Hare Krishna, welcome to Krishna Book, Container 2, Class 13. This is the final class in this container. We're going to be continuing and completing Muchukunda Maharaj's prayers in chapter 51, and we'll get as far as we can before we wrap up this container. And it's exciting. We'll start with Kirtan.
All right, sweet souls. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose together, sipping it in. Fill up, fill up. Open your mouth, exhale, let it go. Start with our opening prayers. This mood of receptivity, of gratitude. Deep breath in. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda about Rama in the first few verses. Ki, please excuse my offenses. Ki, Haribo.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashrakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jai. Yeah. Is it okay if we close this window?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So let's have some reflections from the last couple of chapters. We had Jarasandha throwing so many armies at Krishna, and I think Nancy was giving a nice comment in the chat about the persistence. Nancy, do you want to echo that live?
Yes, one would think that if you lose once, twice, 3 times, maybe you'd say, he knows best, I'll give up. But he persisted for 17 times and lost millions of soldiers and he was humiliated each time.
Yeah.
And each time he's about to be wrapped up and bound, Krishna said, no, just let him go. And he would start over again. And my comment was that I have had so many instances in my life where something, whether it was a job or work or school or relationships, whatever, I'd keep on thinking, just this time I'm going to get it right. I'm just going to keep on obsessing. I'm going to be able to do this and do it well or whatever. And, I just kept on thinking that it's the material world that keeps on lulling me into believing that is the be all and end all. That old phrase, he who dies with the most toys wins. And it's really not true, and if I more I learn, the more I start to realize that there comes a point when you just have to surrender and you just say, no more of this foolishness.
Yeah.
And also, what's up with this Narada? So this little instigators. Krishna has got a little flea in his ear, like, go tell him now. It's have to do all those little.
Yeah, Narada is always the first to know because he's the first to instigate action. He's an empowered devotee. I appreciated your point that like there's this current that the world operates under, like a river. It's always going. That we can't really stand still. If you walk into that river, you get swept along, and it convinces you, yeah, I'm the doer, and I can be happy creating a situation to control and enjoy. And that's the basic idea. And if it doesn't work one way, there's like a million, billion, trillion other different ways you could try to control and enjoy. And the basic problem is the fundamental problem of trying to be the controller and enjoyer instead of leaving that to Krishna and trying to serve him. And Einstein said you can't solve a problem on the same platform you created it. So Jarasandha is just putting up a mirror, holding it up to show us that stubborn, shameless. Shameless because he had his pride taken away every time too, and he's like, no, I'm getting back in there. So, yeah, thank you. And Rini also had some nice comments, reflections in the chat about time. Do you want to echo that again? I'd love to hear it. And could I trouble you for a little water, please? Thank you.
Yeah, like sometimes I just want to like control the time frame of things that are going to happen and speed them up or slow them down or whatever it is, right? And it's the tide. You can't control the tide of the ocean, and the moon and the, you know, it has to do with the tide, and I want to control, or I'm trying to not control as much anymore, but you know, just like when this is going to happen and that's going to happen and how we're going to do it and what we're doing. And yeah, like Nancy said, you know, at one point you just have to surrender. It's Krishna's got it all figured out. It's going to be on his time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but time is considered the representative of the supreme in that regard. Scripture explains like that, because it's something we can experience as humans and see that how beyond us it is, that there's a natural cycle, and we have a certain amount of agency, you know, but it's very small, and it's a representative of that. You know, karma plays out in time, different things surface and then get worked out and disappear, and you know, there's a certain, it's just like evidence of that higher agency.
right.
Yeah, and Muchukunda was praying like that in his humility, because he was actually like a kind of a big deal. He was a really powerful king, so empowered that the demigods actually sought his advice, and more than that, they sought his strength. He was a warrior for them, a general. He was like a ringer. They called up to win wars.
Right.
He realized, of course, he's a devotee. He realized, and when he's speaking to Krishna, who he's speaking to, and he realized his own, you know, the illusion that he was operating under as a manager. Because as a manager, you have to be in control of some things, and it's this balancing act that devotees have, where sometimes because of your advanced position qualification, you have some responsibility. You have to take responsibility to organize and move the energy. That's what a manager is, somebody who moves the energy. It's like, make this happen in a certain way. But at the same time, an advanced devotee's qualification is they know that Krishna is in control and not them, even though they have been given some controlling power, that he's the ultimate controller. So when he's face to face with Krishna, he gets to drop the whole "I'm the boss" routine that he has with everybody else, because that he's now actually in his real position. Is that I'm just like everyone. I'm just your servant, Krishna.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in a mother role, you know, it's easy to get into that boss.
Definitely.
Yeah, like
Mothers are important. They're leaders.
right. You know.
My mom's nickname is the activities director.
What'd you say?
You're saying that your nickname is the activities director.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And that's really important. And at the same time, on a deeper level, it's like, you know, there's things happening that are outside of our control.
Right. But I do want to remind you guys to bring your pickleball rackets paddles this week.
Thank you, activities director. Thank you.
Director comes out. Yeah. I can't control the weather, but I want to make sure you're prepared.
Yes, we can be prepared, but you can't control the weather. That's the time factor. Krishna's in control.
Too funny. And I actually loved your comment about, you know, it's like playing a game of chess with Krishna.
Right. But he's a million pieces, a million moves ahead of us.
Yeah, moves ahead. I mean, that's just like,
how many moves can even the greatest chess master can only go 10, 15, 20 moves maybe ahead if there's some kind of super genius. Krishna's like next level.
right. That like simplifies it for me and like helps me. The stories, I did enjoy this story though. How he went into that cave, and I mean it was cool, and how he looked, and that just when he looked at that guy, or his eyes burned him, right? That's what,
Yeah.
I mean, that was just like, wow. You know, and then Krishna arrives and just was like, I honor you, right? Like that was cool.
Yeah, you can see how Krishna arranged it so that he never actually interacted with Kalayavana, the pursuing king. He just
Right.
ran. He just turned tail and, you know, ran like a rabbit. But he gets him to come into the cave, and he gives his devotee a chance to take care of him. And then he gives his devotee his own appearance. Here I am.
Right.
Who you've always wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good one.
That also indicates that Krishna knew the boon. He knew exactly what the boon was, because it
Yeah,
says that
he
when
knew that
the
Mutchakunda
king, he disappeared, so that it couldn't be a chance that he would see him and burn him. Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm.
Shakti, Devi Dasi, go ahead.
Yeah, I was really for me also thinking on that same level that you're talking about, like you can't about like really you can't control. And you've made all these, George and I have made all these plans to go here, do this, or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm just letting you know, I'm interviewing for a position. We might move to Vancouver. I'm like, wait, what? Like I'm from New York. He moved me here. Now he wants to move me to Vancouver. Like, so I'm like, okay, I have plans. I think like there's things that I'm doing. I'm going to teach at the studio. Then I'm going to work there. Then I'm going to, like, I have the whole year. Like, I'm a planner. Like, I don't need a planner. I have a planner right in here, and it's on my calendar, and I put everything in its place. And it used to be, before I was in Krishna consciousness, things that wouldn't happen, like the way that I thought,
Plan.
down that they were going to happen, and I would lose it. And
Yeah.
now I just go, you're so funny, silly. Like, like to him, to me, like, who do I think I am? What am I doing? Like, so it's like, I've gotten to a point where I can sort of, not all the time, but a lot of the time I can laugh it off. If I'm not laughing out loud, I'm laughing inside, and then I make plans, and then I can't, and then I break plans because things happen. And it's like, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's like, okay, wait, sorry because you don't control the universe? Sorry. No, I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like,
All that hearing and chanting is paying off for you.
yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Eileen.
So there was a really beautiful, I'm not going to go to repeat it word for word, but it's the essence stuck with me. Pope Leo did a speech on success and was talking about like what our human definition of success is and how it's, materially like defined, and how that's not really what success is. And I was just like, oh, he's talking bhakti. And then when we look at kind of this beautiful kind of speech / prayer from Mukunda, he talks about the material way of life is so complicated that before taking the enjoyment of material life, one has to work so hard that there's scarcely an opportunity for peaceful enjoying. And I remember Kastuba once said something like, we make the money so we can put the gas in the car, to buy the car, to get to work, to make the money, to go back to work. And he's like, in this little rat race, where is there space and time for prayer and for reflection and for really trying to get what true success is? And so I think, as we go through our lives and we see things start getting taken away from us, it's still really, really hard. But I try to kind of see like, okay, just like this black hungry snake comes and just takes everything away when time is done. It's like, if Krishna didn't take these things away from us, then we'd remain in attachment. And so it's just like this, again, I'll use the word purification process. Like as things fall away, it's just Krishna kind of giving us the opportunity to start really understanding what attachments are. And what we need to do to continue the focus on, what the most important thing is.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Krishna's, even if we're not, Krishna's helping us to remember what the most important thing is at any point for getting lost in the rat race, as you put it. Yeah, we've organized our society in such a way that you have to run very, very fast and very hard just to stand still. is survival is, you know, being able to put food in your belly and maybe in the bellies of a couple of dependents is considered a great success. And we don't really prioritize or are given license to have time for introspection and internal growth. You know, in terms of things like a relationship with the divine, that's considered like practically mythological. What to speak of,
Weird.
yeah, like, but what to speak, even if it was considered a priority, it's like, yeah, I'll get to that eventually, you know. But yeah, Muchukunda Maharaj, we see this over and over again in the Bhagavatam, actually, that this is one of the reasons why so many of the prayers come from great kings, is because they're on top of the whole social system. You know, if you're underclass and you're dreaming, what are you dreaming about? If you're not a devotee, you're dreaming about, oh, I would really love to be like him or her, this king or queen, that I could have the whole world at my beck and call. I could be so powerful, so many children to you know, create a dynasty, so many, like, eat and drink whatever you want. I could have a 400 wives, this, like, all kinds of materialistic ideas. Who's playing that out? The king is, right? The king is the monarch. They're actually playing it out. But with these devotee kings, their realization is that, I mean, I've played out what I had to do in terms of my role, but it was all just a rat race. And I'm so glad you're here, Krishna. Or why won't you come and be with me, Krishna? Or, you know, like Kunti, she's saying, you're a real wealth, actually. I'm glad for all those times when we were being exiled and living in the forest, because then you were with us. That was the best time of our lives. You know, this is powerful realizations coming from kings and queens, because the common person doesn't live like a king or queen. You know, even though today we eat better than any king did 200 years ago, we still have our relative social structure, and so we may think that I'll be happy when I have that. And the Bhagavatam is showing us, no, it's really a function of whether you're rich, poor, or whatever. It's a function of your bhakti that's really going to determine your experience of life and the quality you're getting from it. It's not the toys you have to play with. The Vrindavan devotees, they're so simple. What do they have? They have some milk and butter materially, but they have Krishna in the palm of their hands. So they actually have the greatest wealth. All the greatest yogis and kings and even devotees are like, well, that's really where it's at, is like the bhakti that they have, you know.
Can I
Yeah.
share something really quick?
Yes.
So yesterday we went to there's a store where it's an Indian store. They have all Indian stuff. And today, like, I was just thinking, like, how, like, I'm pretty much retired, and I was like, what am I going to do when I'm retired? I was so busy. I did my first Abhishek with Radha and Krishna today, and
Wow.
yeah, and like I was like I spent like so like George's like, what happened? You did you practice on the harmonium? I'm like, I actually had time. Like, so my whole day was get up. I did an arti. I had something to eat. Then I did my Abhishek. Then I had something, then I like it was like then I played the harmonium. I'm trying to get a good song for my tomorrow morning playing. And then I was like, my whole day has been filled with, that's why I'm like in this mood. I'm in this like really great mood because I did so
Yeah.
with Krishna, I'm doing Krishna conscious things,
This,
chanting.
this is what happens when you cultivate Krishna consciousness, even when you're working, is that when you retire, you're not dreaming, oh, I can't wait to retire so I can just play golf.
Yeah.
You know, nothing against, it's not about golf or any other game, or it's like, what are you going to do when you don't have to just work? And you'll do what you have a taste for. But if you've cultivated a taste for Krishna consciousness, then you just get to read the whole Bhagavatam and you get to serve deities and travel to holy places and experience Kartik and Vrindavan and hang around saintly people and do service and go to Janmashtami festivals. And it's like, you know, then you can make those dreams come true. And so now's the time, if you're working, now's the time to like have like a steady practice side by side, and then cultivate that desire, like, oh, I can't wait for the day when I could just do more of this. You know, whether it's reading or chanting or associated with devotees or making garlands or, you know, kirtan, what have you. And then Krishna will give it to you. He'll give you that time. Because everyone's hankering for something. And if it's not that, you'll take up a hobby. But I'm very happy for you that you've created a taste, and Krishna is now giving you the space to expand into the rest of your life with, you know, maximum devotional experience.
Yeah.
On that note, let's get some devotional experience from the Krishna book. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahima. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahima. We're on chapter 51 of the Krishna book. We're, I would say, about 3/4 of the way through the chapter. And where we left off was the paragraph that said, Muchakunda Maharaj said, therefore, development of Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees is the cause of liberation from this material entanglement. So the next paragraph begins with the words, my dear Lord, you are so merciful that. My dear Lord, you are so merciful that in spite of my being reluctant to associate with your pure devotees, you have shown your extreme mercy upon me as a result of my slight contact with such a pure devotee as Garga Muni. By your causeless mercy only have I lost all my material opulences, my kingdom and my family. I do not think I could have gotten rid of all these entanglements without your causeless mercy. Kings and emperors sometimes accept the life of an ascetic to forget their royal life, but by your special causeless mercy, I have already been bereft of royalty. I do not need to become a mendicant or practice renunciation. Remember, when he went to the higher planets to serve the demigods, he fought in their wars, and he said, okay, I'm done. Can I please go back home? And they said, well, the bad news is you've been on the higher stratum of the material world, and time passes differently here, more slowly. So you've lived like a year here. It's been like 20,000 years on Earth. Nobody you know even exists anymore. Their descendants are gone. Whatever your kingdom was has disappeared. Sorry. And he's thanking Krishna. I don't think I could have done this on my own. Detach myself from that. So thank you. My dear Lord, I therefore pray that I may simply be engaged in rendering transcendental loving service unto your lotus feet. This is the ambition of pure devotees who are freed from all material contamination. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you can offer me anything I want, including liberation. But who is such a fool that after pleasing you, they would ask from you something which might cause entanglement in this material world? I do not think any sane man would ask such a benediction from you. I therefore surrender unto you because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the Supersoul living in everyone's heart, and you are the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Moreover, you are also this material world, because this material world is only the manifestation of your external energy. Therefore, from any angle of vision, you are the supreme shelter for everyone. Whether on the material plane or the spiritual plane, everyone must take shelter under your lotus feet. I therefore submit unto you, my Lord. For many, many births, I have been suffering from the threefold miseries of this material existence, and I am now tired of it. I have been impelled only by my senses, and I was never satisfied. I therefore take shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of all peaceful life, and which can eradicate all lamentation caused by material contamination. My dear Lord, you are the supersoul of everyone, and you can understand everything. Now I am free from all contamination of material desire. I do not wish to enjoy this material world, nor do I wish to take advantage of merging into your spiritual effulgence, nor do I wish to meditate upon your localized aspect of Paramatma, for I know that simply by taking shelter of you, I shall become completely peaceful and undisturbed. On hearing this statement by King Muchukunda, Lord Krishna replied, my dear king, I am very much pleased with your statement. You have been the king of all the lands on this planet, but I am surprised to find that your mind is now freed from all material contamination. You are now fit to execute devotional service. I am most pleased to see that although I offered you the opportunity to ask for me any kind of benediction, you did not take advantage of asking for material benefits. I can understand that your mind is now fixed in me, and it is not disturbed by any material quality. The material qualities are three, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. When one is placed into the mixed material qualities of passion and ignorance, various kinds of greed and lusty desires impel them to try to find comfort in this material world. When situated in the material quality of goodness, one tries to purify themselves by performing various penances and austerities. When one reaches the platform of a real Brahmana, they aspire to merge into the existence of the Lord. But when one desires only to render service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, they are transcendental to all these three qualities. The pure Krishna conscious person is therefore always free from all material qualities. My dear King, Lord Krishna continued, I offer to give you any kind of benediction just to test how much you have advanced in devotional service. Now I can see that you are on the platform of the pure devotees, for your mind is not disturbed by any greedy or lusty desires of this material world. The yogis who try to elevate themselves by controlling the senses and who meditate upon me by practicing the breathing exercise of pranayama are not so thoroughly freed from material desires. It has been seen in several cases that as soon as there is allurement, such yogis again come down to the material platform. The vivid example verifying this statement is Vishvamitra Muni. Vishvamitra Muni was a great yogi who practiced pranayama, a breathing exercise, but when he was visited by Menaka, a society woman of the heavenly planets, he lost all control and begot in her a daughter named Shakuntala. But the pure devotee Haridas Thakur was never disturbed, even when all such allurements were offered by a prostitute. My dear King, Lord Krishna continued, I therefore give you the benediction, the special benediction, that you will always think of me. Thus you will be able to traverse this material world freely, without being contaminated by the material qualities. This statement by the Lord confirms that a person in true Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master, is never subject to the contamination of material qualities. My dear King, the Lord said, because you are a kshatriya, you have committed the offense of slaughtering animals, both in hunting and in political engagements. To become purified, just engage yourself in the practice of bhakti yoga and always keep your mind absorbed in me. Very soon you'll be freed from all reactions to such sordid activities. In this statement, it appears that although kshatriyas are allowed to kill animals in hunting, they are not freed from the resultant contamination of sinful reactions. Therefore, whether one is a kshatriya, vaishya, or brahmana, one is recommended to take sannyas at the end of life, to engage themselves completely in the service of the Lord and thus become completely freed from all sinful reactions to their past life. As the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita points out, that the essence of sannyas is pure service, pure dedication. Service is not necessarily a function of being a renounced monk exactly. That's a privilege that some people get to serve in that way, but you can actually be completely dedicated in whatever role of life you are, social role, spiritual role. And the overarching point is that whatever your profession is, your occupation, even living an honest lifestyle undertaking material life requires a certain amount of like playing into the material system, you know. Prabhupada gives the example, if you're a business person, you may tell a lie. You may say like, I can't drop the price any lower. Like for you, I'm making no profit. You know, I'm sorry. You know, but that's a lie. You're actually lying. And lying is sinful, right? It's like not right to lie, but you're supposed to lie if you're a business person. You can't be completely honest. So there's a certain way in which no matter what your profession is, even if you're a brahmana, your profession is just like receiving charity and giving spiritual knowledge. You're walking down the street, you step on some ants, like it's just part of the system. So it's a great privilege to just like not have to maintain your body anymore and just give entirely to Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga practice. And until you can do that, you practice side by side your material duties and your spiritual practice. And then Muchukunda is saying here, like, I just want to serve you. And Krishna is saying, this is very good. In your situation, particularly, you may have accumulated some reactions from what you've done, but just practice your bhakti yoga, so your service to me. And that itself will, which is all you want to do anyway, that itself will purify anything that remains. The Lord then assured King Muchukunda, in your next life, you will take birth as a first-class Vaishnava, the best of Brahmins. And in that life, your only business will be to engage yourself in my transcendental service. A Vaishnava is a first-class Brahmana because one who has not acquired the qualification of a bona fide Brahmana cannot come to the platform of a Vaishnava. When one becomes a Vaishnava, they are completely engaged in welfare activities for all living entities. The highest welfare activity for living entities is the preaching of Krishna consciousness. It is stated herein that those who are specifically favored by the Lord can become absolutely Krishna conscious and be engaged in the work of preaching the Vaishnava philosophy. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 51st chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Muchukunda. Jai. Chapter 52, Krishna the Ranchora. Any reflections from that? We only had a short bit there, but anything you'd like to reflect before we start? You too?
Appreciate the pointing out if you practice bhakti, if your desire is, devotional service to Krishna, that you can transcend the modes of material energy now, here.
Yeah.
In this life, not just when you're liberated.
Right, you can be liberated right now.
Yeah.
That bhakti yoga process itself is potent enough for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was going to reiterate that, the line, I therefore give you this special benediction that you will always think of me. Thus, you will able to traverse the material world freely without being contaminated by material qualities. So, it's instead of, okay, you're going to go now to the heavenly planet, I'm removing you completely from this. It's almost like the being face to face with material life, but being Krishna conscious brings you closer to Krishna, because you recognize the dichotomy between the attachment of material world versus this devotion. So I'm giving you this benediction that you're not going to
Don't
sense
forget
that,
that.
but you're going to do this within the material world, and in the next life you will come to be a Vaishnava.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's again like that theme I was saying, that often it's the kings and queens who are praying like this because they're the ones who are the most in the world. They're not, the Bhagavatam is not as much like yogis who've been living on a mountaintop for 1500 years, hearing and chanting, or just like meditating, right? Because we can't relate to that. Most people can't relate to that, especially in this age. Even a few thousand years ago, that was not so relatable. People were still playing out their material desires. But the king and queen is like, oh, not only does he not want the heavenly planets, he was in the heavenly planets. He was recruited by the heavenly planets directors to go and fight on behalf of the heavenly planets against the celestial demons. And he was like, beyond all that, he's still, when it comes right down to it, he just wants Krishna. So maybe I should aim for that. And so Krishna is saying, yeah, it's just that pure remembrance of me, unbroken, unforgotten, that will be your perfect liberated condition. And you'll have the privilege of just serving. So, thank you. Chapter 52. When Muchukunda, the celebrated descendant of the Ikshvaku dynasty, was favored by Lord Krishna, he circumambulated the Lord within the cave and then came out. On coming out of the cave, Muchukunda saw that the human species had surprisingly been reduced in stature to pygmy size. Similarly, the trees had also been far reduced in size, and Muchukunda could immediately understand that the current age was Kali Yuga. Therefore, without diverting his attention, he began to travel north. Eventually, he reached the mountain known as Guntamadana, where there were many trees, such as sandalwood and other flowering trees, whose fragrance made anyone who reached them joyful. He decided to remain in that Guntamadana mountain region to execute austerities and penances for the rest of his life. It appears that this place is situated in the northernmost part of the Himalayan mountains, where the abode of Naranarayana is situated. This place is still existing and is called Bhadrakashrama. In Bhadrakashrama, he engaged himself in the worship of Lord Krishna. Tolerating all kinds of pains and pleasures and the other dualities of this material world, Lord Krishna returned to the vicinity of Mathura, where he fought with the soldiers of Kalyavana and killed them one after another. After this, he collected all the booty from the dead bodies, and under his direction, it was loaded on bullock carts and brought back to Dvarka. Meanwhile, Jarasandha again attacked Mathura, this time with bigger divisions of soldiers numbering 23 Akshauhinis. Lord Sri Krishna wanted to save Mathura from the 18th attack of the great military divisions of King Jarasandha. To prevent further killing of soldiers and to attend to other important business, Lord Krishna left the battlefield without fighting. Actually, he was not at all afraid, but he pretended to be an ordinary human being, frightened by the immense quantity of soldiers and resources of Jarasandha. Without any weapons, Krishna left the battlefield. Although his lotus feet were as soft as the petals of a lotus flower, he proceeded for a very long distance on foot. This time, Jarasandha thought that Krishna and Balaram were very much afraid of his military strength and were fleeing the battlefield. Imagine, he just defeated them 17 times without losing a man, and still Jarasandha is thinking, oh, you coward, right? You can't capture that there's something else going on here. He followed them with all his chariots, horses, and infantry. He thought Krishna and Balaram to be ordinary human beings, and he was trying to measure the activities of the Lord. Due to this pastime, Krishna is known as Ranachora, which means one who has left the battlefield. In India, especially in Gujarat, there are many temples of Krishna known as temples of Ranchorji. Ordinarily, if a king leaves the battlefield without fighting, he's called a coward. But when Krishna enacts this pastime, leaving the battlefield without fighting, he is worshipped by the devotees. Yeah, because traditionally a leader wasn't the kind of person who would sit behind a desk and order the soldiers somewhere. He would never look them in the eye and say, they go die and fight and die. If you're a leader and you're going to war, you're on the battlefield, you're on the front lines. A demon always tries to measure the opulence of Krishna, whereas a devotee never tries to measure his strength and opulence, but always surrenders unto him and worships him. By following in the footsteps of pure devotees, we can know that Krishna the Ranchorji left the battlefield not because he was afraid, but because he had some other purpose. The purpose, as it will be revealed, was to attend to a confidential letter sent by Rukmini, his future first wife. Krishna's leaving the battlefield is a display of one of his 6 opulences. Krishna is the supreme powerful, the supreme wealthy, the supreme famous, the supreme wise, and the supreme beautiful. Similarly, he is the supreme renouncer. Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that he left the battlefield in spite of having ample military strength. Even without his militia, he alone would have been sufficient to defeat the army of Jarasandha, as he had done 17 times before. Therefore, his leaving the battlefield is an example of his supermost opulence, renunciation. See, Jarasandha is completely attached, and Krishna's like, I got no time for this. The renunciation. So I'm over it. I'm done. Yeah, I've got a wife to win. After traversing a very long distance, the brothers pretended to become tired. To mitigate their weariness, because Krishna and Balaram were running together, they climbed up a mountain many miles above sea level. The mountain was called Pravarshana due to constant rain, for the peak was always covered with clouds sent by Indra. Jarasandha took it for granted that the 2 brothers were afraid of his military power and had hidden themselves at the top of the mountain. First, he tried to find them, searching for a long time, but when he failed, he decided to trap and kill them by setting fires around the peak. He therefore surrounded the peak with firewood and set it ablaze. As the fire spread more and more, Krishna and Balaram jumped from the top of the mountain down to the ground, a distance of 88 miles. Thus, while the peak was burning up, Krishna and Balaram escaped, unseen by Jarasandha or his men. Jarasandha concluded that the 2 brothers had burned to ashes and that there was no need for further fighting. Thinking himself successful in his efforts, he left the city of Mathura and returned to his home in the kingdom of Magadha. Gradually, Krishna and Balaram reached the city of Dwarka, which was surrounded by the sea. Remember, he had made an island city and sent everyone there except for himself. Following this, Sri Balaram married Revati, daughter of King Raivata, ruler of Anarta province. This is explained in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After the marriage of Baladev, Krishna married Rukmini. Rukmini was the daughter of King Bhishmaka, ruler of the province known as Vidarbha. Just as Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Rukmini is the supreme goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi. According to the authority of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expansion of Krishna and that of Srimati Radharani are simultaneous. Krishna expands himself into various Vishnu Tattva forms, and Srimati Radharani expands herself into various Shakti Tattva forms by her internal potency as multi-forms of the goddess of fortune. According to Vedic convention, there are 8 kinds of marriage. In the first-class marriage system, the parents of the bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage date. Then, in royal style, the bridegroom goes to the house of the bride, and in the presence of Brahmins, priests, and relatives, the bride is given in charity to the bridegroom. Besides this, there are other systems, such as the Gandharva and the Rakshasa marriages. Krishna married Rukmini according to the Rakshasa system, kidnapping her in the presence of his many rivals like Shishupala, Jarasandha, and Shalva. While Rukmini was being given in charity to Shishupal, Krishna snatched her from the marriage arena, exactly as Garuda snatched a pot of nectar from the demigods. Rukmini, the only daughter of King Bhishmaka, was exquisitely beautiful. She is known as Ruchiranana, which means one who has a beautiful face expanded like a lotus flower. Devotees of Krishna are always eager to hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord. His activities of fighting, kidnapping, and running away from the battlefield are all transcendental, being on the absolute platform. And devotees take a transcendental interest in hearing of them. The pure devotee does not make the distinction that some activities of the Lord should be heard and others avoided. There is, however, a class of so-called devotees known as Prakrita Sahajiyas, who are very interested in hearing about Krishna's Rasa Leela with the gopis, but not about his fighting with his enemies. They do not know that his bellicose activities, fighting activities, and his friendly activities with the gopis are equally transcendental, being on the absolute platform. All the transcendental pastimes of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam are relished by pure devotees through submissive oral reception. They do not reject even a drop. The story of Krishna's marriage with Rukmini is described as follows. So now, we've had some action-adventure thrillers. We're going to have a bit of a romance.
Yay! Rom-com?
Yeah, there's some calm, mostly Ram. The king of Vidarbha, Maharaj Bhishmaka, was very qualified and devoted. He had 5 sons and only 1 daughter. The first son was known as Rukmi, the second son Rukmarata, the third Rukmabahu, the fourth Rukmakesha, and the fifth Rukmamali. The brothers had 1 young sister, Rukmini. She was beautiful and chaste and was meant to be married to Lord Krishna. Many saintly persons and sages like Narada Muni used to visit the palace of King Bhishmaka. Naturally, Rukmini had a chance to talk with them, and in this way she obtained information about Krishna. She was informed about the 6 opulences of Krishna, and simply by hearing about him, she desired to surrender herself to his lotus feet and become his wife. Krishna had also heard of Rukmini. She was the reservoir of all transcendental qualities: intelligence, auspicious physical features, liberal-mindedness, exquisite beauty, and righteous behavior. Krishna therefore decided that she was fit to be his wife. All the relatives of King Bhishmaka decided that Rukmini should be given in marriage to Krishna. But her elder brother Rukmi, despite the desire of the others, arranged for her marriage with Shishupala, a determined enemy of Krishna. When the black-eyed, beautiful Rukmini heard of the settlement, she immediately became very morose. However, being a king's daughter, she understood political diplomacy and decided that there was no use in simply being morose. Some steps should be taken immediately. After some deliberation, she decided to send a message to Krishna. And so that she might not be deceived, she selected a qualified Brahmana as her messenger. Such a qualified Brahmana is always truthful and is a devotee of Vishnu. Without delay, she sent the Brahmana to Dvarka. Reaching the gate of Dvarka, the Brahman informed the doorkeeper of his arrival, and the doorkeeper led him to the place where Krishna was sitting on a golden throne. Since the Brahman had the opportunity to be Rukmini's messenger, he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the original cause of all causes. A Brahman is the spiritual teacher of all the social divisions. Lord Sri Krishna, in order to teach everyone the Vedic etiquette of how to respect a Brahmin, immediately got up and offered him his throne. When the Brahmin was seated on the golden throne, Lord Sri Krishna began to worship him exactly as the demigods worship Krishna. In this way, he taught everyone that worshipping his devotee is more valuable than worshipping him. In due time, the Brahmin took his bath, accepted his meals, and lay down to rest on a bedstead completely bedecked with soft silk. As he was resting, Lord Sri Krishna silently approached and with great respect put the Brahmin's legs on his lap and began to massage them. In this way, Krishna appeared before the Brahmana and said, "My dear Brahmana, I hope that you are executing the religious principles without difficulty and that your mind is always peaceful." Different classes of people in the social system are engaged in various professions. And when one inquires as to the well-being of a particular person, they should do so on the basis of that person's occupation. Therefore, when one inquires as to the welfare of a Brahmin, the question should be worded according to their condition of life, so as not to disturb them. A peaceful mind is the basis for becoming truthful, clean, equipoised, self-controlled, and tolerant. Thus, by attaining knowledge and knowing its practical application in life, one becomes convinced about the absolute truth. The Brahmana knew Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and still he accepted the respectful service of the Lord on the grounds of Vedic social convention. Lord Sri Krishna was playing just like a human being. Because he belonged to the Kshatriya division of the social system and was a young boy, it was his duty to show respect to such Brahmana. Lord Krishna continued, "O best of all the Brahmanas, you should always remain satisfied. For if a Brahmin is always self-satisfied, he will not deviate from his prescribed duties, and simply by sticking to one's prescribed duties, everyone, especially a Brahmana, can attain the highest perfection of all desires. Even if a person is as opulent as the king of heaven, Indra, if he is not satisfied, he inevitably has to transmigrate from one planet to another. Such a person can never be happy under any circumstances. But if one's mind is satisfied, even if he is bereft of all possessions, he can be happy living anywhere." This instruction by Krishna to the Brahmin is very significant. The purport is that a true Brahmana should not be disturbed in any situation. In this modern age, Kali Yuga, the so-called Brahmins have accepted the abominable position of Shudras or less, and still want to pass as qualified Brahmins. Actually, a qualified Brahmin always sticks to his own duties and never accepts those of a Shudra or of one less than a Shudra. It is advised in the authorized scriptures that a Brahmin may, under awkward circumstances, accept the profession of a Kshatriya or even a Vaishya, but never is he to accept the profession of a Shudra. That means that you don't become an employee. You don't become under someone's service. You don't sell yourself to, pay my bills. Brahman is always independent. Lord Krishna declared that a Brahmin will never be disturbed by any adverse conditions if they scrupulously stick to their religious principles. In conclusion, Lord Sri Krishna said, I offer my respectful obeisances to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, for the Brahmins are always self-satisfied, and the Vaishnavas are always engaged in actual welfare activities for human society. They are the best friends of the people in general. They are free from false egoism and are always in a peaceful condition of mind. Lord Krishna then desired to know about the rulers, Kshatriyas, in the Brahmin's kingdom. So he inquired whether the citizens of the kingdom were all happy. A king's qualification is judged by the temperament of the people in the kingdom. If they are happy in all respects, it is to be understood that the king is honest and is executing his duties rightly. Krishna said that the king in whose kingdom the citizens are happy is very dear to him. Of course, Krishna could understand that the Brahmin had come with a confidential message. Therefore, he said, if you have no objection, I give you liberty to speak about your mission. Thus, being very much satisfied by these transcendental pastimes with the Lord, the Brahmin narrated the whole story of his mission in coming to see Krishna. He got out the letter Rukmini had written to Krishna and said, these are the words of Princess Rukmini. My dear Krishna, O infallible and most beautiful one, any human being who happens to hear about your transcendental form and pastimes immediately absorbs through his ears your name, fame, and qualities. Thus all his material pangs subside, and he fixes your form in his heart. Through such transcendental love for you, he always sees you within himself, and by this process all his desires are fulfilled. Similarly, I have heard of your transcendental qualities. I may be shameless in expressing myself directly, but you have captivated me and taken my heart. You may doubt my steadiness of character, since how could an unmarried young girl like me approach you without any shame? But my dear Mukunda, you are the supreme lion among human beings, the supreme person among persons. Any girl, though not yet having left her home, or even any woman of the highest chastity would desire to marry you, being captivated by your unprecedented character, knowledge, opulence, and position. I know that you are the husband of the goddess of fortune and are very kind toward your devotees. Therefore, I have decided to become your eternal maidservant. My dear Lord, I dedicate my life and soul unto your lotus feet. I have selected your lordship as my husband, and I therefore request you to accept me as your wife. You are the supreme powerful, O lotus-eyed one. Now I belong to you. If that which is enjoyable for the lion to eat is taken away by the jackal, it will be a ludicrous affair. Therefore, I request you to immediately take care of me before I am taken away by Shishupal and other princes like him. My dear Lord, in my previous life, I may have done public welfare work like digging wells and planting trees, or pious activities such as performing ritualistic activities and sacrifices and serving superiors like the spiritual master, Brahmins, and Vaishnavas. By these activities, perhaps I have pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. If this be so, then I wish that you, Lord Krishna, the brother of Lord Balaram, please come here and catch hold of my hand so that I shall not be touched by Shishupal and his company.
Oh,
Rukmini's marriage with Shishupal was already settled. Therefore, she suggested that Krishna kidnap her so that this might be changed. This sort of marriage in which the girl is kidnapped by force is known as Rakshasa and is practiced among Kshatriyas or men with an administrative martial spirit. Because her marriage was already arranged to take place the next day, Rukmini suggested that Krishna come there incognito to kidnap her and then fight with Shishupal and his allies like the king of Magadha. That's Jarasandha. He's an ally of Shishupal. All these people who don't like Krishna apparently are friends with each other. Knowing that no one could conquer Krishna, who would certainly emerge victorious, she addressed him as Ajita, the unconquerable Lord. Rukmini told Krishna not to be concerned that the fighting would take place within the palace and that many of her family members, including other women, might thus be wounded or even killed. As the king of a country thinks of diplomatic ways to achieve his object, Rukmini, being the daughter of a king, was diplomatic in suggesting how this unnecessary and undesirable killing could be avoided. She explained that it was the custom of her family to visit the temple of goddess Durga, the family deity, their family deity, before marriage. The Kshatriya kings were mostly staunch Vaishnavas, worshipping Lord Vishnu in either the Radha Krishna or Lakshmi Narayan form. Still, for their material welfare, they used to worship goddess Durga. They never made the mistake, however, of accepting the demigods as the supreme lord, on the level of Vishnu Tattva, as do some less intelligent men. To avoid the unnecessary killing of her relatives, Rukmini suggested that it would be easiest for him to kidnap her while she was either going from the palace to the temple, or else returning home. She also explained to Krishna why she was anxious to marry him, even though her marriage was to take place with Shishupal, who was also qualified, being the son of a great king. Rukmini said that she did not think anyone else was greater than Krishna, not even Lord Shiva, who is known as Mahadev, the greatest of all the demigods. Lord Shiva also seeks the pleasure of Lord Krishna in order to be delivered from his entanglement in the quality of ignorance within the material world. Although Lord Shiva is the greatest of all great souls, Mahatmas, he keeps on his head the purifying water of the Ganges, which emanates from a hole in this material universe made by the toe of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is in charge of the material quality of ignorance, and to keep himself in a transcendental position, he always meditates on Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and always tries to purify himself with the water of the Ganges. Therefore, Rukmini knew very well that obtaining the favor of Krishna was not easy. Since even Lord Shiva must purify himself for this purpose, surely it would be difficult for Rukmini, who is only the daughter of a Kshatriya king. Thus, she desired to dedicate her life to observing severe austerities and penances, such as fasting and going without bodily comforts. If it were not possible in this lifetime to gain Krishna's favor by these activities, she was prepared to die from such austerities and to undergo similar difficulties lifetime after lifetime. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that pure devotees of the Lord execute devotional service with great determination. Such determination, as exhibited by Rukmini Devi, is the only price for purchasing Krishna's favor. What's the only price? Determination. One should be strongly determined in Krishna consciousness, and that is the way to ultimate success. After relaying Rukmini Devi's statement to Krishna, the Brahmin said, "My dear Krishna, chief of the Yadu dynasty, I have brought the confidential message for you from Rukmini. Now it is placed before you for your consideration. After due deliberation, you may act as you please, but if you want to do something, you must do it immediately. There is not much time left for action." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 52nd chapter of Krishna, Krishna the Ranchor. Jai. Comments, questions, reflections?
It was reminding me of the book Follow the Cowherd Boy. You know that book?
No.
It's like a fictional book, but it was the first book I read and that had to do with Krishna. After the journey home, but the first one after that. And it's like of this princess. It's based on historical fiction. And she is forced to marry someone other than Krishna, or just trying to be forced, but she's like, no, I'm married. I'm married. And she felt so strongly that she was married to Krishna.
Sounds like Mirabai.
Yeah, it's based on Mirabai.
Yeah, Mirabai is a great saint in South India who considered that Krishna was the only husband she was willing to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was reminding me of that, and like how bold that is to write Krishna to be like,
Very bold.
I consider myself your wife, so you should come and
Especially in that social
kidnap
system.
me.
She's a princess. She was trained. She's got some fire in her. She's not a very she's not willing to stand by and let this happen.
Yeah.
This arranged marriage. She wants Krishna. Everyone else actually wanted her to be with Krishna too, except her jerk of a brother, or that one brother. But we're glad for him because we get to have this scene. I actually want to see if we can sneak this chapter in. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Would you rather we try to get this chapter in, or do you want to spend the next few minutes reflecting on what you've heard from the Krishna book so far? Because this is going to be our last class in this container. We're taking next week off, and then we decided to continue with the Krishna book, and then
finish it all in.
We're going to finish it in the next cohort, like the next group.
So we're not going to read all of it.
Yeah, we'll do what we have to do to finish it. And on the horizon, we have Srimad Bhagavatam, and we're also thinking to have maybe a separate Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya thing. So stay tuned. That might be a smaller group. We'll see. But I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to hear this chapter of Krishna's kidnapping Rukmini, or do you want to reflect on your experiences with Krishna book so far?
See hearts and
Rocket ships.
I think we try to read it.
Any dissenting opinions?
right. Irini's word is the way.
I kind of want to hear how he gets his bride. It's kind of like
Do it.
a cliffhanger here. Okay.
Chapter 52, Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. After hearing Rukmini's statement, Lord Krishna was very much pleased. He immediately shook hands with the Brahmin and said, "My dear Brahmana, I'm very glad to hear that Rukmini is eager to marry me, since I'm also eager to get her hand. My mind is always absorbed in thoughts of the daughter of Bhishmaka, and sometimes I cannot sleep at night because I'm thinking of her." So it's like this whole boy meets girl. Like she's in love with him, and now we found out that actually he's in love with her too. Isn't that sweet?
And have they met
Sometimes
before?
no,
So they're
they heard about
star-crossed-
each other.
Star-crossed lovers.
Yeah. Well, Krishna's so amazing. Just by hearing about him, we can fall in love with him. He is all attractive.
Same for me.
Sometimes he can. Yeah, she's a goddess of fortune, so they belong together. I can understand that the marriage of Rukmini with Shishupal has been arranged by her elder brother in a spirit of animosity toward me. So I am determined to give a good lesson to all these princes. Just as one extracts and uses fire after manipulating ordinary wood, after dealing with these demoniac princes, I shall bring forth Rukmini like fire from their midst. Krishna, upon being informed of the specific date of Rukmini's marriage, was anxious to leave immediately, because it's tomorrow. He asked his driver Dwaraka to harness the horses for his chariot and prepared to go to the kingdom of Vidarbha. After hearing this order, the driver brought Krishna's 4 special horses. This is some nice trivia. The names and descriptions of these horses are mentioned in the Padma Purana. The first one, Shaibya, was greenish. The second, Sugriva, was grayish like ice. The third, Megha Pushpa, was the color of a new cloud. And the last, Balahaka, was of ashen color. When the horses were yoked and the chariot was ready to go, yoked, Krishna helped the Brahmin up and gave him a seat by his side. Immediately they started from Dwarka and within one night arrived at the province of Vidarbha. The kingdom of Dwarka is situated in the western part of India and Vidarbha is situated in the northern part. They are separated by a distance of not less than 1,000 miles. But the horses were so fast that they reached their destination, a town called Kundina, within one night or at most 12 hours. King Bhishmaka was not enthusiastic about handing his daughter over to Shishupala, but he was obliged to accept the marriage settlement due to his affectionate attachment for his eldest son, who had negotiated it. As a matter of duty, the king was decorating the city for the marriage ceremony and acting in great earnestness to make it very successful. Water was sprinkled all over the streets, and the city was cleansed very nicely. Since India is situated in the tropical zone, the atmosphere is always dry. Dust always accumulates on the streets and roads, so they must be sprinkled with water at least once a day, and in big cities like Calcutta, twice a day. The roads of Kundina were arrayed with colorful flags and festoons, and gates were constructed at particular crossings. The whole city was decorated very nicely. The beauty of the city was enhanced by the inhabitants, both men and women, who were dressed in fresh, washed clothes and decorated with sandalwood pulp, pearl necklaces, and flower garlands. Incense burned everywhere, and fragrances like aguru scented the air. Priests and Brahmins were sumptuously fed and, according to ritualistic ceremony, were given sufficient wealth in cows and charity. In this way, they were engaged in chanting Vedic hymns. The king's daughter Rukmini was exquisitely beautiful. She was very clean and had beautiful teeth. The auspicious sacred thread was tied on her wrist. She was given various types of jewelry to wear and long silken cloth to cover the upper and lower parts of her body. Learned priests gave her protection by chanting mantras from the Samaveda, Rigveda, and Yajurveda. Then they chanted mantras from the Atharva Veda and offered oblations in the fire to pacify the influence of different stars. King Bhishmaka was experienced in dealing with Brahmins and priests when such ceremonies were held. He specifically honored the Brahmins by giving them large quantities of gold and silver, grain mixed with molasses, and cows decorated with cloth and ornaments. Dhammaghosha, Shishupal's father, executed all kinds of ritualistic performances to invoke good fortune for his son. Shishupal's father was known as Dhammaghosha due to his superior ability to cut down unregulated citizens. Dhamma means curbing down, and Ghosha means famous, so he was famous for controlling the citizens. Dhammaghosha thought that if Krishna came to disturb the marriage ceremony, he would certainly cut him down with his military power. Therefore, after performing the various auspicious ceremonies, Dhammaghosha gathered his military divisions. He took many elephants garlanded with golden necklaces and many similarly decorated chariots and horses. It appeared that Dhammaghosha, along with his son and other companions, was going to Kundina not exactly to get Shishupal married, but mainly to fight. When King Bhishmaka learned that Dhammaghosha and his party were arriving, he left the city to receive them. Outside the city gate were many gardens where guests were welcome to stay. In the Vedic system of marriage, the bride's father receives the large party of the bridegroom and accommodates them in a suitable place for 2 or 3 days, until the marriage ceremony is performed. The party led by Dhammaghosha contained thousands of men, among whom the prominent kings and personalities were Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Vidurata, and Paumdraka. It was an open secret that Rukmini was meant to be married to Krishna, but that her elder brother Rukmini had arranged her marriage to Shishupal. There was also some whispering about a rumor that Rukmini had sent a messenger to Krishna. Therefore, the soldiers suspected that Krishna might cause a disturbance by attempting to kidnap Rukmini. Even though they were not without fear, they were all prepared to give Krishna a good fight to prevent the girl from being taken away. Shri Balaram received the news that Krishna had left for Kundana accompanied only by a Brahmin, and that Shishupal was there with a large number of soldiers. Balaram suspected that they would attack Krishna, and thus out of great affection for his brother, he took strong military divisions of chariots, infantry, horses, and elephants, and went to the precincts of Kundana. Krishna just went right away alone, just with the Brahmin, and Balaram's got his back. He's bringing an army with him in case there's a fight. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Rukmini was expecting Krishna to arrive, but when neither he nor the Brahmin who took her message appeared, she was full of anxiety and began to think how unfortunate she was. There's only one night between today and my marriage day, and still neither the Brahmin nor Shyama Sundara has returned. I cannot ascertain any reason for this. Having little hope, she thought that perhaps Krishna had found reason to become dissatisfied and had rejected her fair proposal. As a result, the Brahmin might have become disappointed and not come back. Although she was thinking of various causes for the delay, she expected them both at any moment. Tension. Stakes are rising. Rukmini further thought that demigods such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Goddess Durga might have been displeased. It is generally said that the demigods become angry when not properly worshipped. For example, when Indra found that the inhabitants of Vrindavan were not worshipping him, Krishna having stopped the Indra Yajna, he became angry and wanted to chastise them. Thus Rukmini thought that since she did not worship Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma very much, they might have become angry and tried to frustrate her plan. Similarly, she thought that Goddess Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, might have taken the side of her husband. Lord Shiva is known as Rudra, and his wife is known as Rudrani. Rudrani and Rudra refer to those who are accustomed to putting others in distress, to cry forever. Rukmini was thinking of Goddess Durga as Girija, the daughter of the Himalayan mountains. The Himalayan mountains are very cold and hard, and she thought of Goddess Durga as hard-hearted and cold. In her anxiety to see Krishna, Rukmini, who was after all still a child, thought this way about the different demigods. The gopis worship Goddess Katyayani to get Krishna as their husband. Similarly, Rukmini was thinking of the various types of demigods not for material benefit, but in respect to Krishna. Praying to the demigods to achieve the favor of Krishna is not irregular, and Rukmini was fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Even though she pacified herself by thinking that the time for Govinda to arrive had not yet expired, Rukmini felt that she was hoping against hope. Not expressing her mind to anyone, she simply shed tears, unobserved by others. And when her tears became more forceful, she closed her eyes in helplessness. While Rukmini was in such deep thought, auspicious symptoms appeared in different parts of her body. Trembling began to occur in her left eyelid, arm, and thigh. When trembling occurs in these parts of the body, it is an auspicious sign indicating that something lucrative can be expected. Just then, Rukmini, full of anxiety, saw the Brahmin messenger. Krishna, being the supersoul of all living beings, could understand Rukmini's anxiety. Therefore, he sent the Brahmin inside the palace to let her know that he had arrived. When Rukmini saw the Brahmin, she could understand the auspicious trembling of her body and immediately became elated. She smiled and inquired whether Krishna had already come. The Brahmin replied that the son of the other dynasty, Shri Krishna, had arrived. He further encouraged her by saying that Krishna had promised to carry her away without fail. Rukmini was so elated by the Brahmin's message that she wanted to give him in charity everything she possessed. However, finding nothing suitable for presentation, she simply offered him her respectful obeisances. The significance of offering respectful obeisances of a superior is that one offering obeisances is obliged to the respected person. In other words, Rukmini implied that she would remain ever grateful to the Brahmana. Anyone who gets the favor of the goddess of fortune, as did this Brahmana, is without a doubt always happy in material opulence. When King Bhishmaka heard that Krishna and Balaram had come, he invited them to see the marriage ceremony of his daughter. Immediately he arranged to receive them along with their soldiers in a suitable garden house. As was the Vedic custom, the king offered Krishna and Balaram honey and fresh washed garments. He was hospitable not only to Krishna, Balaram, and kings such as Jarasandha, but also to many other kings and princes according to their personal strength, age, and material possessions. Out of curiosity and eagerness, the people of Kundana assembled before Krishna and Balaram to drink the nectar of their beauty. With tearful eyes, they offered Krishna and Balaram their silent respects. They were very much pleased, considering Lord Krishna the suitable match for Rukmini. They were so eager to unite Krishna and Rukmini that they prayed to the personality of Godhead, "Our dear Lord, if we have performed any pious activities with which you are satisfied, kindly be merciful unto us and accept the hand of Rukmini." It appears that Rukmini was a very popular princess, and all the citizens, out of intense love for her, prayed for her best fortune. In the meantime, Rukmini, being very nicely dressed and protected by bodyguards, came out of the palace to visit the temple of Ambika, goddess Durga. Deity worship in the temple has been in existence since the beginning of Vedic culture. There is a class of men described in the Bhagavad Gita as Veda Vada Rata. They believe only in the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, but not in temple worship. Such foolish people may here take note that although this marriage of Krishna and Rukmini took place more than 5,000 years ago, there were arrangements for temple worship. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, "Yanti Deva Vrita Devan." The worshippers of the demigods attain the abodes of the demigods. There were many people who worshiped the demigods and many who directly worshiped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The system of demigod worship was mainly directed to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, the sun god, and goddess Durga. Lord Shiva and goddess Durga were worshipped even by the royal families. Other minor demigods were worshipped by silly lower class people. As far as the Brahmins and Vaishnavas were concerned, they simply worshipped Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, the worship of demigods is condemned but not forbidden. There it is clearly stated that less intelligent men worship the demigods for material benefit. On the other hand, even though Rukmini was the goddess of fortune, she went to the temple of goddess Durga because the family deity was worshipped there. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that as Rukmini proceeded toward the temple of goddess Durga, within her heart she always thought of the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, when Rukmini went to the temple, it was not with the intention of an ordinary person who goes to beg for material benefits. Her only goal was Krishna. As Rukmini proceeded toward the temple, she was silent and grave. Her mother and her girlfriends were by her side, and the wife of a Brahmin was in the center. Surrounding her were royal bodyguards. This custom of a would-be brides going to the temple of a demigod is still practiced in India. As the procession continued, various musical sounds were heard. Conch shells, drums such as panavas, and bugles of different sizes such as turiyas and bheris combined to make a sound which was not only auspicious but very sweet to hear. Thousands of wives of respectable Brahmins were present, all dressed very nicely with suitable ornaments. They presented Rukmini with flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, and a variety of colorful garments to assist her in worshipping Lord Shiva and goddess Durga. Some of these ladies were very old and knew perfectly well how to chant prayers to goddess Durga and Lord Shiva. So, followed by Rukmini and others, they led these prayers before the deity. Rukmini offered her prayers to the deity by saying, "My dear goddess Durga, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you as well as to your children." Goddess Durga has 4 famous children, 2 goddesses, 2 daughters, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and 2 sons, Lord Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya. They are all considered to be demigods and goddesses. Since goddess Durga is always worshipped with her famous children, Rukmini specifically offered her respectful obeisances to the deity in that way. However, her prayers were special. Ordinary people pray to goddess Durga for material wealth, fame, profit, strength, and so on. Rukmini, however, desired to have Krishna for her husband, and therefore prayed that the deity be pleased with her and bless her with that benediction. Since she desired only Krishna, her worship of the demigods is not condemned. While Rukmini was praying, she presented a variety of items before the deity, chief of which were water, different kinds of flames, incense, garments, garlands, and various foods prepared with ghee, such as puris and kachauris. She also offered fruits, sugarcane, betel nuts, and spices. With great devotion, Rukmini offered them to the deity according to the regulated principles, directed by the old Brahmin ladies. After this ritualistic ceremony, the ladies offered the remnants of the food to Rukmini as prasadam, which she accepted with great respect. Then Rukmini offered her obeisances to the ladies and to goddess Durga. After the business of deity worship was finished, Rukmini caught hold of the hand of one of her girlfriends in her own hand, which was decorated with a jeweled ring, and left the temple in the company of the others. All the princes and visitors who came to Kundana for the marriage had assembled outside the temple to see Rukmini. The princes were especially eager to see her because they all actually thought that they would have Rukmini as their wife. Struck with wonder upon seeing Rukmini, they thought she was especially manufactured by the Creator to bewilder all the great chivalrous princes. Her body was well constructed, the middle portion being thin. Her high hips were adorned with a jeweled locket. She had pink lips, and the beauty of her face was enhanced by her slightly scattered hair and by different kinds of earrings. So just as Krishna is the most beautiful man, the goddess of fortune is the most beautiful woman. They're completely meant for each other, but this is like what happens when materialistic men are having the darshan. They're thinking she's for him.
Bodily luster.
The bodily luster and beauty of Rukmini appeared as if painted by an artist, perfectly presenting beauty following the descriptions of great poets. Rukmini's breasts are described as being somewhat high, indicating that she was a youth not more than 13 or 14 years old. Her beauty was specifically intended to attract the attention of Krishna. Although the princess gazed upon her beautiful features, she was not at all proud. Her eyes moved restlessly, and when she smiled very simply like an innocent girl, her teeth appeared just like jasmine buds. Expecting Krishna to take her away at any moment, she proceeded slowly toward her home. Her legs moved just like a full-grown swan, and her ankle bells tinkled mildly. The chivalrous princes assembled there were so overwhelmed by Rukmini's beauty that they became almost unconscious and fell from their horses and elephants. Full of lust, they hopelessly desired Rukmini's hand, comparing their own beauty to hers. Srimati Rukmini, however, was not interested in any of them. In her heart, she was simply expecting Krishna to come and carry her away. As she was adjusting the ornaments on a finger of her left hand, she happened to look upon the princes and suddenly saw that Krishna was present among them. Although Rukmini had never before seen Krishna, she was always thinking of him. Thus she had no difficulty recognizing him among the princely order. Krishna, unconcerned with the other princes, immediately took the opportunity to place Rukmini on his chariot, marked by a flag bearing an image of Garuda. He then proceeded slowly without fear, taking Rukmini away exactly as a lion takes a deer away from the midst of jackals. Meanwhile, Balaram appeared on the scene with the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. Jarasandha, who had many times experienced defeat by Krishna, roared, "How is this? Krishna is taking Rukmini away from us without opposition. What is the use of our being chivalrous fighters with arrows? My dear princes, just look. We are losing our reputation. He is just like a jackal taking booty from a lion." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 53rd chapter of Krishna. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. And a sneak preview, the next chapter is called Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dvarka. It's a mix of romance and action. All right. So now let's have any reflections, questions, comments on anything you've heard from the Krishna book before we take a break for a week. And for the week, your homework is don't stop reading. Just read more. I'm going to keep reading the Krishna book. In fact, we read it every night.
2, 3.
Yeah. We've read the Krishna book the whole way through.
Mhm.
And now we're on chapter, where are we? It's in Vrindavan again.
Boys and Calves by Brahma.
Yeah, chapter 13. It never gets old, I promise. So reflections.
Well, that was a beautiful chapter to end on, I thought. It was like happy and just a whole beautiful little romance
It's very
story.
sweet.
It was almost better than Travis and Taylor getting engaged today.
Much
Nobody. No, but it was like he was like real people instead of the Supreme Lord. He was just like a man going to get this
Yeah.
beautiful woman to be his wife. So that was very sweet.
The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all rasas. All the essence of relationship that we're looking for in the material world is found in him and in his pure devotees, like his Supreme Shakti, the goddess of fortune. He's actually a person. He's actually the reservoir of all relationships. So here he's showing like, and it's actually very sweet. There's a lot of details, like the residents of the city all loved Rukmini so much that when they saw Krishna, they thought, oh, if I have any good karma, please let them end up together. You know, this is like the dream couple for everybody. Even her father really wanted them to be together. It's just her elder brother was this impediment. So there's this sweet, like, it's meant to be, but there's also just this impediment. There's this obstacle. It's no great story without an obstacle.
Right.
The superhero and Rukmini, who actually like took a very bold move to call out to him, are overcoming the obstacle together, and we all just get to relish. It's very sweet pastime.
Very nice. And I'm trying to go back and read from the beginning so I can catch up to where we
Excellent.
are.
All blessings.
Yes, and watching some, because there's recordings of it
Yeah,
on the
We-
YouTube
recordings.
channels. So,
all the chapters.
yeah,
I'm doing the same thing, Pam.
are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused. Where am I? I'm in winter. No, I'm in autumn. I'm sorry.
Right.
Chapter 20. Yeah, I love the line that Jarasandha, we're losing our reputation.
After 18
Wait.
times. Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Did you not get the
dude,
memo?
come on, you gotta just learn a lesson here sometime.
He doesn't have a reputation anymore. Krishna's
Right.
humiliated him. He's like, they still have this, what's called abhiman, this, what's the word, in English? Like, you have like a pretense, you have a certain sense of like your own, no, you have a sense, there's like a,
Ego, sense of ego.
yeah,
Yeah.
a sense of ego, like a persona.
Mm.
His his designation is like, we're heroes. We're like tough guys, you know? And what's the point of being given all this praise and appreciation if like someone could just walk in and there's also a bit of a juxtaposition because it's described Krishna came in slowly without any fear and took her away like a lion. A lion doesn't have any fear of jackals because a lion is the king of the jungle. And then you have like the perspective of these materialists and they're saying like, he's taking away like a jackal. He's stealing what belongs to us. And what's the point of our reputation if we're just going to be robbed by a lesser being like Krishna? So there's clearly going to be a fight.
Yeah, this I agree with Nancy and Pam. Like this is like like one of those love stories you might read, like a Kardashian, someone Kanye West took her away. I mean, in the
It's what everyone's trying for.
yeah, and it's like but it's like it feels so real. And then the last comment is something about something about something like a booty. What did he say? What was the last line?
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
That was just
He's just like a jackal taking booty from a lion.
and like Nancy said, like for the 18th time, right?
Yeah.
Like oh
There's
my-
also this objectification of her where she's like a treasure to be stolen and fought over. And Krishna is actually not seeing her that way. Krishna is reciprocating with her pure love for him, and she wants him. It's actually like cosmologically they belong together. She's the goddess of fortune, and he's actually God. There's no other man who can have her. No one is qualified but him. And yet we see that the mentality is like a jackal taking away our booty. You know, she belongs to us. In fact, they all thought that they would have her. They're all so selfish and so materialistic. They thought somehow this marriage is going to be like she's going to end up being with me. It's just the crazy mind of a materialistic person and the objectification of the goddess of fortune here.
I think it's really interesting.
Sorry, were you done, Shakti? Were you done?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Eileen.
I think it's interesting that, Krishna, again, is set up throughout all this as like the all attractive, the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Going back to that theme of like devotional service attracts even Krishna.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of like, I feel like the theme with Rukmini is that like, he doesn't need this. And, he can go in and all of a sudden now he's in love with her too. So
Yeah, he's the most renounced, but he's still like complete. He said, I can't even sleep at night because I'm thinking of her sometimes.
And so I feel like, this gives us that little kick to say like, how can we be more attractive to Krishna and present ourselves in a way that
Yeah.
he would want to see me and that he,
Beautiful.
loves us. But like, how can I make sure that I'm walking through life being like, Krishna, I want to do this so you see me and that those same eyes as you saw like me.
Yeah, and what did she say? She said, actually, she says in the Bhagavatam, if I can't have you in this life, I will practice austerities till I die, and then I'll do it again next life, and I'll do that as many times as it takes to get you. I don't want anything else in any life. There's nothing that you can wiggle in front of me, that no carrot you can dangle. I want just you, whatever the price. And then so the Bhagavatam is showing us, and Prabhupada is highlighting, it's this determination. Like, even if I'm not qualified right now, even if I'm too occupied with other things, I don't have the time for my bhakti practice to be as deep as I want it to be, I'm still not as pure as I'd like to be, whatever else impediment, I don't care. I will be your devotee, whatever it takes, that determination. That's the price, and it's the only price. And that's a price anyone can pay if they want to. So it's a beautiful thing. And you're right, it's very much a reminder of like what actually attracts him, because he crosses 1,000 miles in one night to come to her and steal her away from the most lavishly, opulently planned wedding. He does it with no fear, because her devotion for him is pure and completely determined.
I have one quick question or comment. So Rukmini and Radha are two different people. Does Radha come before her or later?
Yeah, I would say that the way to understand it is ontological rather than chronological, which means that Radharani is just like Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Radharani is the fountainhead of all the feminine counterparts. So ontological relationship means all the goddesses of fortune spring forth from Radharani.
Right.
Just
Okay.
like Krishna is the source of all expansions and avatars. They're all concurrent. No one is like, because it's not a material thing. It's not like you have this son, and the son is like younger than the father, and the son creates another son. There's a grandson, and it's like not like that, right? So don't think about it in terms of time. Although Radharani is actually back in Vrindavan, missing Krishna, but she's an expansion. Rukmini is an expansion of Radharani as his first wife here. There are going to be others. All of them are also expansions of Radharani. They're all have stories too. Sneak preview.
Okay.
So then is marriage between Krishna and Radharani sort of superfluous? Because
Marriage
the
and
union's already there.
in Vrindavan, it's not about marriage. It's about the sweetness of the love that they have.
Yeah, so it's just a union that's
Yeah.
there. That's the important part.
Yeah, Krishna's having the marriage life, the formality of marriage in this part of his pastimes as a king. Yeah. We did it.
I just have something from a different chapter that I like is really stuck with me throughout the second cohort.
We'll
of
accept
Krishna Book. From chapter 41, around Krishna enters Mathura, the prayers from Sudama, the florist,
Yeah.
that he prayed for three things: that for unshakable love for Krishna, bhakti, for friendship with devotees, and compassion for all living beings.
Yeah.
And since we read that and reread that, anytime I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's what to pray for.
Love for Krishna, service to devotees and their association.
Friendship with
Yeah.
devotees.
And then to be able to have love and care for all living entities in the light of all that. Yeah. Really powerful. Not the only place in the Bhagavatam where someone prays for those three things. It's pretty much the epitome of the best benediction you can get.
Mhm.
Yeah. Krishna said, done. And you'll have an easy life. He said that to him.
Yeah. Florist.
Yeah. Wow. All right. We'll against my better judgment have a week off. And
I'll put announcements out.
we'll all just read in our own time, and then we'll come back and we'll start a new group with the Krishna Book, chapter 54. And I hope that you're all going to be there. We'd love to have your attentive ears. You've made it just so sweet. Everybody here in person, everyone online, everyone at the YouTube channel, everyone at WhatsApp. We love you, and we'll see you in the sound vibration of the Krishna Book very soon.
Thank you
right.
so much. Yes, Hari
Thank you.
Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram.
Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Shri Krishna Book ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Bol.
Hari Bol.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.